Hello, it is Monday, November 1st, 2021. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to my New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. It's a brand new month. It is November 1st. Welcome to November. That means that the Patreon campaign has ticked over, so if you've been waiting for that month to cycle through before you make your pledge to the Patreon, if that's something that you have any interest in at all, then head over to the campaign at patreon.com/dailysolve. And there you can find all of the bonus video solves, the weekly mini puzzle speed solves, the New York Times monthly bonus puzzle, the Boss Words Fall Themeless League competition puzzles, those very difficult puzzles, as well as special access to the Discord chat server. But don't forget, anyone can join the Discord. There's a link in the description field underneath the video. So, just a reminder, since we're hitting a new month, and there's also that new Twitter feed over at The Daily Solve. So that's all available. Let's discuss yesterday's puzzle. That was the Sunday puzzle with all of those rebuses, which, like I said, I have to admit, I enjoy it. And I think one of the reasons I like the rebus so much, despite knowing that they're divisive among solvers, is because I've been solving these crosswords for so long. I've solved so many of these. In fact, let me look at how many New York Times crossword puzzles I've solved according to the app. It's 3,612. So I think having solved 3,612 or so New York Times crossword puzzles, I think I really enjoy when there's something that is makes it into almost a different task in a way. I mean, it's not so much a different task, but adds a new one, as well as the vocabulary and spotting patterns and filling words and considering senses and meanings. There's also this other thing, this sort of puzzle, different sort of puzzle, I suppose, that requires thinking about the grid in a different way. And I think I do enjoy having that refresh and shake up how I think about the crossword. But again, I know from the discussion in the Discord, from the comments, but especially discussion in the Discord server, which I really enjoy, actually. There are people who make threads in the Discord chat every day for the various New York Times puzzles, and it's nice to see the discussion about it. Anyway, I know that people have mixed feelings because, especially I think if you're still working on sort of certain elements of solving, this is sort of I think it can feel like sort of an interruption that's coming in out of nowhere to make the puzzle more baffling, without warning, I suppose. Okay, but anyway, let's talk about some comments from yesterday's puzzle. Vice Dibley points out that tonne, T-O-N-N-E, isn't just a difference in spelling. It's not just a British spelling of tonne, like meter and meter, M-E-T-R-E and M-E-T-E-R. It's specifically the name of the metric unit. In Australia, at least, if you see tonne, T-O-N-N-E, it's referring to an actual measurement. We'd still write like a ton of bricks, T-O-N, or I have a ton of work to do, T-O-N, and use tonne, T-O-N, if for some reason we needed to refer to a US measurement. And just to confuse things, of course, a tonne, T-O-N-N-E, can also be referred to as a metric tonne, T-O-N, to disambiguate if you're talking about both. So there we go. A nice bit of ambiguity brought on by the retention of the very strange imperial system. Kathy Swope explains that the zodiac signs are divided into 4 different groups represented by the elements of earth, air, water, and fire. The fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, are known for creativity, courage, spontaneity, and outgoingness, aka we're a bit loud. So that's a good heads up for me. I maybe was sort of vaguely aware of that, but not particularly. This refers to the fire sign Leo from yesterday's puzzle. And Skelechicken Live explains that moot court, I wasn't really sure what that means from yesterday's puzzle, it's actually a sort of mock court, a practice court. It's a popular activity for a certain class of law student, particularly those interested in international or constitutional law. It essentially involves doing all of the preparation for and argumentation of a trial, but whereas mock trials are simulated jury trials, moot court tends to focus on arbitration structures or larger legal matters. In practice, they often resemble a sort of advanced debate contest. There are several moot court competitions, both national and international, that make for excellent watching. That's great to know. I had no idea about that one. Laura Sexton, this is sort of embarrassing for me. Laura Sexton points out, mano a mano is hand to hand, not man to man. And of course it is. I don't know. Yeah. I was sort of thinking about it as I guess I had it in mind as sort of a silly American corruption of man by just adding an O at the end. But obviously, mono, manual, monos, all these things are hand. Anyway, as she says, it has to do with fighting, and so does toe-to-toe. So there we go. Eric Ratamero says, I can't believe Chris would do this to the beautiful state of Maine, referring to my infuriating inability to recall that ME was the abbreviation for the state of Maine. It was just hitting a mental block there. I am certainly not any kind of member of Mensa. And on that note, Daniel O'Brien says, I just looked up Mensa. I'd always also assumed it was related to mental in some way or that it was an acronym, but it turns out it's the Latin word for table, chosen because of the round table nature of the organization. The M in the Mensa logo is stylized to resemble a table. So there we go. And Blanket Fort Robot says, on the subject of rebuses as a tantalizing crossword concept, this was something my fiance and I were looking forward to running into. What a cool concept. Although we were frustrated with the functionality of the New York Times site and app while solving today's puzzle, we tried several permutations of the rebus, and time again were met with try again, something is not quite right, until entering a slash. Who would have guessed? And this is something I saw from other people. They entered hit/miss, for instance, in the rebus. I don't think I've ever done that, but apparently the software does accept it, so that's interesting. Anyway, this person finishes by asking, Chris, what is something that has stumped you despite your best efforts on a crossword? Well, the other day I was actually trying to solve the very first crossword puzzle ever published by the New York Times, which was in, I believe, 1942. And at that time, they were only doing Sunday puzzles. There was no daily puzzle. And I found it extremely difficult, I think, to some extent, because the cluing conventions aren't, and this makes sense, aren't quite as standardized as they are now. So I'm very attuned to the particular way the New York Times crossword is clued at this point. And that 1942 puzzle was similar, but definitely not quite there. And it led me to frequently wonder, do I just not know this, or is this an artifact of cluing? But on top of that, there is a lot of archaic vocabulary, archaic references, things that, there are some things that were just difficult and I just found challenging in a sort of ordinary way, but there were some things that were clearly either linguistic artifacts or actually outdated in a literal sense, or were just referencing things that would have been much better known to someone in 1942. So I kind of want to try and solve it on the channel in some fashion. I didn't finish it, but I would need to probably at some point draw a line and say, okay, I'm breaking out a thesaurus or a dictionary now, and I'm going to have to finish out the grid with that aid. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. It is a very interesting artifact, but quite challenging, I think, to someone solving now. At least I found it to be so. All right, let's get on to today's crossword. That was quite a long preamble, but I guess we had room because hopefully this will be a short-ish solve as a Monday puzzle. It was constructed by Fiona Taylor and edited, as always, by Will Shorts. Are we ready to get started? I say okay. No need to say it again. I know, or I hear, or I don't know. Like a Butterfingers. A Butterfinger is someone who's sort of clumsy or klutzy, inept maybe. Inept would allow one across to start with I, which is possible. Let's see if the acrosses here would work without it all. Tennis star, Osaka. I'm not sure, unfortunately. Well, let's just go back and solve normally. I don't want to start doing crosses of a word I haven't even filled yet. A group of criminals could be a gang. High schoolers who dress in black, maybe. Goths. Calculation and calculus could be the area of a shape. And in the neighborhood could be near. You're in the neighborhood, you're nearby. And mythical monsters with snakes for hair. Gorgons, such as Medusa was a gorgon, I believe. And so here we have cookie whose packaging shows a splash of milk. That's Oreo, one of, I think, the most common words in New York Times Phil, to the point that I think it's actually discouraged from being used now. They still use it, but they require that there be a unique clue each time it's used. Droplet of happiness or sadness is a tear. So there we go. Father on a stud farm. So a bull, I suppose. And a farm animal that sounds like a letter of the alphabet. Oh, maybe not a... What would this be? Because I wanted the farm animal to be a U, which sounds like a letter of the alphabet. Let's see if that works, if I fill that in. What might give cause for concern for a farmer? So here we have two indications about what's going on. We have quotes around cause, which indicates we're doing something cute with this word, because obviously it's not spelled as cause, as in cause for alarm, C-A-U-S-E, reason. And we also have the pun indicator, the question mark here. So I think this is referring to a crow, which makes a caw sound and might be a problem for a farmer. And then also we've got 3 farm clues in a row here. So I wonder if that deals with whatever the theme of this puzzle will be. Let's see. Let's see if these downs go anywhere for us. A steep embankment. A steep embankment. Why am I not seeing that? And a traditional St. Patrick's Day dish. Soda bread or corned beef, or support for a shower curtain could be a rod. And an assistant could be an aide. What is this? Things modern travelers pack. It looks like chargers of some kind. Phone chargers, I suppose. And smart Alex are know-it-alls or smarty pants, but it's not going to have the word smart in the clue. I'm trying to think of something that matches the slangy nature of smart Alex, and it's plural, we should note. Here we have toe of the Arabian Peninsula. Is that Oman? And no need to say it again. Oh, I know. Does that help over here? Right. So Lego Butterfingers may in fact be inept. And then Healthful Kellogg's cereal brand. I'm not sure. And here we have off palindromically. So palindromically means, I assume, this will be a palindrome, which means it will read identically in either direction. So we can fill in the letters we already have. And off is not on, simply. Oops. And that palindrome helped us get there. Right, so Oman, como blank, how are you, in Spanish. And it's worth pointing out, in reference to a comment I recently read, that when you see languages abbreviated like this, it doesn't necessarily mean, and in fact it usually doesn't mean, that the answer is abbreviated. Generally speaking, an abbreviation in the clue means there will be an abbreviation or contraction in the answer. Not with languages. They're just abbreviated by convention. So this is como estás in Spanish. And tennis star Osaka. Looks like it could be Naomi, Naomi, maybe. And woodsman's makeup in The Wizard of Oz. Tin. Woodman's makeup. Was the Tin Man the woodman? And then Healthful Kellogg's cereal brand, Kashi. It sounds like it could be right. I'm not sure offhand. Okay, that's a tough cross potentially, because makeup, you might think tan makeup, although I suppose that's less plausible for The Wizard of Oz. Okay, auto tank full would be a tank full of gas. A low carb diet, I think, here. Smart Alex, oh, I see, wise guys. In the year of blank Lord, in the year of our Lord, 2021. Dickens's Oliver Twist or Kipling's Mowgli. Orphans, I suppose. Oh, yes, indeed. And not orphans, but orphan, because we need to not overlook the fact that this says or. So we're only referring to one of these two characters, not both of them. Well, the answer needs to fit both of them, but we'll only refer to one. So an orphan. And jocks' counterparts stereotypically are nerds. Like Russia, east of the Urals, right, so Asian, Russia sort of straddling Europe, the continents of Europe and Asia, such an incredibly large landmass. And east of the Urals, it's in Asia. Okay, these are always giveaways when you get these. North by northwest's opposite. all you have to do is reverse the direction, which would be south by southeast. Simple. To decrease in size as the moon would be to wane, or at least to decrease in apparent size anyway, would be to wane. And here we have another palindrome, actually. We've got another reference to a palindrome. In addition to not on, we have Abel was I, ere I saw Elba. And so this is the middle of the palindrome. I assume this must be, this is a very commonly stated palindrome, but I just realized I don't really know what it's all about. I assume it's related to Napoleon. Maybe this is meant to be what Napoleon said when he reached Elba, or at least when he was recalling that, because that's where he was exiled. Yeah, I have no idea what the sort of specific historical meaning of this is. Okay, I should probably look it up. It comes up not infrequently in the crossword, I suppose. Dress part that may be taken in. The waist, potentially. St. Louis landmark, or St. Louis, the arch, the St. Louis arch, Louis. And here we have blank tac-toe, tic-tac-toe. And when planes are due in for short. So often in the crossword, you'll get ETAs and ETDs, estimated times of arrival and estimated times of departure. It's a very common bit of fill to I guess, sort of shore up little bits of the grid. And when they're due in would be estimated time for arrival. When they're due out would be the estimated time of departure. So breakfast side at a diner would be hash browns. Oh, Irish stew, I suppose. Traditional St. Patrick's Day dish. That's sort of generic. Actually, I'm not sure specifically what Irish stew is. What the ingredients are, Okay, a steep embankment is a scarp. Sorry, I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier, like an escarpment. And then a father on a stud farm is a sire, so there we go. A breeding male animal. Okay, forms of some kids' multivitamins, gummy bears. And southern Siberian city, I would think Omsk. And clothes could be, what, garbs maybe? I'm not sure. Stockpile, amass. Whiskey cocktail, or where it was invented, probably the Manhattan. I really enjoy a good Manhattan. I have not had one in ages. Okay, ice hockey venue is a rink. Inuit boat. I'm not sure. I don't know that this is something I know, actually. This is blank humbug, bah humbug, as exclaimed by Ebenezer Scrooge in Dickens's A Christmas Carol. Oh, and we had another Dickens reference here, Oliver Twist. So there's some nice echoing going on in this crossword. I can't quite tell which of it is the theme, though. Maybe we'll eventually get a revealer. An exam is a test, potentially an examination, a test. One who cries, "You're out," would be the umpire or the ump. And here we can see that there's a subtle clue. Oh, you could, maybe not subtle, I don't know, but there's a clue indicating that ump is going to be contracted with this slangy usage of your, the slangy incarnation of your, Y-E-R rather than Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. That gives us a clue that this is going to be a slangier version of the word that fills the answer, and in this case, ump instead of umpire. Okay, to engage in some retail therapy is to shop, I suppose. Direction after adding sugar, that looks correct, it would be stir. Road work, blank, highway sign, road work ahead. And kids with military, kid with military parents. And again, kid rather than child. It's a bit of a tip towards something being slightly slangy, or at least less formal is maybe more accurate than slang in this case. Slightly less formal language would be an army brat, sort of an idiomatic expression. Well, a colloquial expression, maybe more accurately. Okay, hide in a hard-to-find spot. Oh, to bury, right, I'm sorry. So I was thinking of hiding oneself. I'm going to hide. But indeed, what this means is to hide, for instance, an object in a hard-to-find spot, to bury it. Okay. Here we have ironically humorous, which is wry humor. Jotted down is wrote. Ocular swelling could be a sty when those little bumps that can happen on your eye. A chimney buildup, soot, I would think. And pretty blank. oxymoron. Pretty ugly, I guess. An oxymoron being a sort of self-contradictory phrase, which obviously pretty ugly technically isn't, but you could interpret it as such. Okay, an idiot is a dolt. Some angels or some newspapers, heralds. So a herald, hark the herald angels sing, for instance, trumpeting the news. Also, there are many newspapers named the Herald, the town name Herald, for instance. Hopefully there's a newspaper actually called the town name Herald. Unlikely. Okay, so clothes, garbs. So I think in this particular case, this is actually the verb, because I think plural of clothes would still be garb, but as a verb, clothes could be garbs, as in garbed in robe. Okay, an Inuit boat. I don't know this word, I don't think. And ice hockey player, a skater, I assume. So that gives us umiak here. I hope that's correct. I think the crosses are pretty solid, so that should be fine. And 3-point shots informally. I think this is often said trees or trays, maybe. Either way, I think it's going to start TRE and end with an S because it's plural. But I'm not sure which, so let's wait for the crosses. Government-backed investments are treasury bonds, and let's look at this cross just for the sake of completeness here. Prop for a football kickoff would be a tee, sure. I didn't know those were called tees, but I know golf has tees, so I guess football does as well. Okay, Hawkeye State, Ohio, I suppose, and items on a to-do list. Oh, maybe not. Is it? Listing on an actor's IMDb page. Roles. Oh, sorry. This, I guess, isn't treasury bonds, but treasury bills. So Iowa's Hawkeye. That actually sounds much more correct. I was a little bit skeptical of Ohio, but I put it in there anyway because I was more confident in my crosses, which is not a good idea. I shouldn't be overly confident in my own crosses. This all looks much better now. To be cognizant of something is to be aware of it. I was not cognizant of what was going on over here. Items on a to-do list are tasks. That looks much better. And twisty curves are S's. A worker for a Supreme Court justice might be a clerk, a law clerk. And here, a star student's report card, maybe. Oh, all A's. That's sort of funny looking. Looks like a word, allus, which just looks odd. And then here we have score 100% on, which is to ace, as in a test or exam test. B sharp or B flat is a note, and a melee could be a fray, combat, and then that disambiguates this YE situation here. 3-point shot is a tray, I guess. Oh, and here's our theme. Here's our revealer. In an unusual position, down in the southwestern corner of the grid, hidden away, an organization, it's buried down there, to quote another answer, organization that's home to the ends of 20, 32, 41, and 52 across. So we've got the Chargers, the Bears, the Browns, and the Bills. I see. All NFL teams. And we can finish off the puzzle with camera's eye being a lens and a mineral-bearing rock being ore, which looks all correct. And there it is. There's the Monday puzzle. Okay, so I think this was arguably on the tricky side for a Monday puzzle. I think there were enough crosses to get everything slotted into place as needed, but I think it was a little bit trickier than some Monday puzzles are. So at least I found it to be so. We've got tennis star Osaka here. This may be an extremely well-known person, to be fair. I'm sometimes living under a rock, especially when it comes to sports-related things. And then the healthful Kellogg's cereal brand Kashi. Crossed proper nouns are always a bit tricky. I found both of these a bit tricky and had to rely entirely on crosses to really close those out. And then this Woodman's Makeup in the Wizard of Oz tin. I don't know why I was slightly nervous about that one. I suppose there's not really much else it could be, but you do have to know the Wizard of Oz, which, I suppose many people do. Let's see, what else was in here? Scarp, I think, is a bit of an obscure word, I would say. I had an odd amount of trouble with Irish stew. You'd think I would have maybe thought Irish off the bat, but I think it's because I was trying to think of something that you might actually plausibly in Ireland refer to, which I don't. I mean, maybe in Ireland they refer to Irish stew. It would be sort of surprising, though. Okay, and what else? I had to swap out sire, but that's fine. That happens. I thought there were some other things that I found a little bit tricky, but maybe I can't remember where they were. Anyway, like I say, I don't need to go through the entire puzzle again, but I thought maybe slightly challenging for a Monday puzzle. Let me know. This NFL thing might also be tricky, I think, if you aren't from the United States and don't have any context around this at all. Which I know that roughly half of the viewers of this channel, that is the case, are not from the United States. I don't know how much cut through this sort of thing has, the names of NFL teams. But these are relatively, well, trays, I think, might also be tough for some people. I mean, that's something that I've sort of picked up through osmosis over the period of doing crosswords. And Manhattan whiskey cocktail, or where it was invented, I just have no idea how much, the degree to which most of this stuff is common knowledge. Umiak, I would imagine to be one of the more obscure words in this puzzle. At least, again, I found it to be so. It's always hard to say what is going to be known and unknown to others. So just let me know how you fared. So that was the Monday puzzle. That was the Monday puzzle by Fiona Taylor. I'm curious. I am curious to know how people fared with this one. I hope you enjoyed it. I do hope you enjoyed the puzzle, of course. I particularly hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, subscribe to the channel. Sign up, and then you will have very easy access to these videos as they go up each day. And if you particularly enjoy this series, why not pass it along to a friend or someone on the internet or your internet community? And if you particularly enjoy it, do consider contributing to the Patreon. It's a brand new month of Patreon. I think I mentioned most of the things that you get in the Patreon campaign, but a couple other things are you will get a mug, an exclusive mug if you back at certain tiers that has a "Let's Check the Crosses" slogan and the Daily Solve logo emblazoned upon it. So that's fun. And also some people who contribute actually at that same tier that gets the mug also are recognized at the end of these videos for their generous ongoing support. And today I would like to thank Resmi, the inestimable Hood Monster, and the incomparable Shantanu Bhatia. So thank you, Resmi, thank you, Hood Monster, and thank you, Shantanu, for your generous and ongoing support. It helps make this whole thing real, I guess, and able to survive and continue. So thank you. I very much appreciate it. And that's it. That's it for today's video. A little bit long for a Monday video. There was a lot of preamble there, but I'll be back tomorrow for the Tuesday puzzle. Another easy-ish puzzle at the beginning of the week. We'll just have to see. I hope you join me for it. But until that point, please do have an excellent remainder of your Monday. Take care.